2 hours down, 2 to go. The vibes are right. Feeling good. Because we had a beam last night. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports. We're about to have a Malik Monk conversation because he says some things about why it's been working with Doug Christie. Okay, and why things are resonating more. I want to shout out to Sean Cunningham for really kind of digging in on Malik Monk as far as asking the question. Malik answers the question, and Sean asks for some more. You know, I'm always going to ride for the media since, you know, some fans out there always want to say media needs to ask better questions. I'm always going to give, and I will say when that does need to be the case, but also I will give kudos to my peers out there that are doing their thing. So we're about to play that sound for you, and I do think it's a little telling, and we have to play it because I do think it is explained by a player. But let's get to what Malik has done so far, what he did over the weekend. Friday against Memphis, he had a season-high 30 points, a season-high 6 made three-pointers. I believe that was after scoring or going 0 for from the three-point line in the previous game. He scored a season-high 17 in the first half as part of the Kings' season-high 78 points. In the Kings of the fourth quarter, Fox, DeRozan, Monk scored all 36 points. Then last night against Golden State, he had a career-high 12 assists to go along with 26 points, 5 made threes, 3 steals, and a block, and an absurd career-high plus 41 in 29 minutes. Just think, I mean, he might have got to about 16 assists, something crazy like that if he had played the whole game, and he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. So he posted a first-half double-double, 16 points, 10 assists, with a career-high plus 33 in 17 minutes. We talked about how he was in the same conversation with LeBron with his stat line last night. No one else did it in a shorter amount of time than LeBron James in the history of the NBA. So looking at the results from all that, 57 points in the last 2 games on 59% shooting, 11 for 20 from the three-point line, 19 assists, 4 steals, plus 45 in 60 minutes. He scored or assisted on 44% of Kings baskets during 7 quarters of play. So before I ask this question that I really want to ask, here is a snippet of the Malik Monk postgame and what he had to say when he was asked about Mike Brown.
I think everything contagious is what we do because we're so close as a team. So if I'm hitting shots, don't mind hitting shots, everybody hitting shots. If I'm passing the ball, getting in, spraying it out, everybody's doing it. So I try to go in there and do it just to get everybody involved.
Defensively, you guys created a lot of turnovers and scored off those turnovers. What were you seeing, especially in that first half, that kind of led to some of those turnovers?
Devin and Keon guarding Steph as good as they did. Of course, he's going to get his points. He's one of the greatest shooters ever, so he's going to get his. But they did a great job of limiting him. So I think that's why we got to win.
Really kind of following up on that, you guys haven't had the best first quarter of the season. You come out of this game was 36, but you hold them to 17. But that was really the key, setting that defensive tone early. How important, from a player standpoint, is doing that? Just shut them down and let them know we're coming at you all day.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we've been struggling with, hitting people first. And I think that's what we did. Like you said, I think we did that first in the first quarter. And that set the tone for sure. But kudos to Devin and Keon doing a great job on Steph. Just limiting him. Like I said, you're not going to stop him. He's too great for that. So they just did a great job of limiting him.
What do you see with that? I mean, you had kind of a front row seat to Keon taking that hit. That first one, I remember saw you kind of talking to Dre a little bit. What do you see on both of those plays?
Draymond's being Draymond. It's a physical game. He's gonna be physical, and if he gonna do anything to get his team pumped up, involved. And if that's hitting somebody hard on the screen, he'll do it. But yeah, that's just Draymond. Basketball, we love it.
Yeah. Since you've been here, you've had a little bit of a history with this team, with the Warriors, in the playoff series. To have a 30-point win without Fox, it's the second largest in franchise history. I mean, just what does that say about things rolling right now?
That we bought into what DC doing. We all just bought into it right now. And we all feel good and confident in what he's saying. He's a player. He played before, so I think he knows how to say it to us a little better than people that didn't play the game before. So that's all I feel like.
I'm trying not to do it. I'm trying not to do it. Great stuff from Malik Monk, but the way that ended, and again, shout out to Sean Cunningham for digging deeper on that question, because Malik Monk says, yeah, we're bought into what DC's telling us. And Sean Cunningham said, well, can you put it into words what that is? And Malik says he played the game, so the way he's telling us things that we bought into what DC is doing, we all just bought into him. We all feel good and confident in what he is saying. He is a player. He played before, so I think he knows how to say it to us a little better than people that didn't play the game before. That's all I feel like. Now, again, we don't know the details of it. Maybe it's just more relaxed, right? Maybe it's less of a science, if you will. What do they keep saying when the Kings are getting interviewed? Things are simplified, right? And look, Mike Brown has coached in this league for years. He's coached some of the best players to ever play the game. But there is a conversation about things just not resonating the same way. And maybe with this specific group, stopped resonating. It was resonating a couple of years ago when they were the Beam team. It resonated a little bit last season. They still got into the 9 seed, and they did that with injuries. But you have to be flexible. You have to be dynamic in this world, in this business. And things changed. And I got to give kudos to Amani McNair and Mr. Vivek. Maybe it's too early to give kudos, but 4-1, you know what, dang it, I'll give kudos now because it looked bleak. And the Kings have now turned things around. They still haven't made a move, but they've turned things around to where they can at least be a part of the postseason. They're at least in that conversation. Things were going south, okay, in a hurry. So I do believe that it seems like the right move was made. It seems like they are reacting to what Doug Christie is saying. Is it going to last? 46 games left. Is it going to last? That remains to be seen. But as of right now, I would say that it does feel like the right move was made. Based on, not even based on the results, to be honest, based on what we're hearing from the players. We didn't know, and shout out to the team for keeping it all under wraps. But clearly, and Malik Monk, I remember this. I think it was before Malik Monk re-signed. It was towards the end of the season, and somebody asked the question, how do you feel like Mike Brown has helped you showcase something to the effect of, how do you feel that Mike Brown helped you get your game to a certain level? And Malik Monk said, well, I don't think he necessarily helped me get there. I think he helped me showcase it, right? And when he first said that, I didn't take it as a dig on Mike Brown, and I still don't. But I do feel like it opened my eyes to maybe the lack of credit that maybe the team was giving to Mike Brown for their success. And that then turns into, are they being held back? Was Malik Monk being held back? We all, I don't want to say we all, but a lot of us understood, even if you didn't agree with it. Yeah, I will say it. I think we all understood Mike Brown's thought process in Malik Monk coming off the bench. You didn't have to agree with it, but I think we all understood the thought process. And even now, some people still think that Malik Monk needs to come off the bench because of the lack of scoring. Now, on a night like last night, where Kevin Huerter is scoring the basketball and Trey Lyles being this new version of Trey Lyles, then Malik can be a starter. But when it was bleak on the bench, I understood why Mike Brown was kind of caught up on Malik coming off the bench. We understood it even if we didn't agree with it. But now it starts to look, now with every soundbite, not even with every win, with every soundbite, it feels like they're starting to be more comfortable saying, yeah, things actually weren't that great. And I think it's just eye-opening for me. And I think a lot of people, we can compartmentalize how things were done, not agree with how the Kings organization moved on from Mike Brown. But clearly there was something, and the De'Aaron Fox thing, De'Aaron Fox had love for Mike Brown. But clearly, every time these guys open their mouths, they are telling us, they are trying to tell us, yeah, things weren't great with Mike, and I think we just got to listen to them and take their word for it. Even if they don't win another game, it doesn't necessarily matter to me because Mike Brown, his voice was, and Dave joked about this a couple of weeks ago, womp, 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 like Charlie Brown. It just wasn't resonating anymore, so they had to make a move.
Yeah, you brought up a really great point there, and I'd love to talk about it more on the other side, but at the same time, I think it's really interesting that Malik Monk, when he got to Sacramento, was probably about as skilled of a player as he is right now, but it was that he had been bounced around in Charlotte with the instability and getting slapped on the head by Michael Jordan. He ended up on the Lakers, but it was the year that the Lakers got Westbrook, and that was just a terrible situation to walk into. He got a lot of playing time, but just a toxic kind of locker room situation there. So I think I understand that sentiment. I didn't remember the quote that you brought up, and that was a really interesting window into what Malik Monk was feeling, especially when at the time I think he thought, and we all thought, he wasn't going to come back and play for Mike Brown this season. Yeah.
So again, and I'm thinking now of Malik, you're going to make me lose my top and all this stuff that, I think we can live in a world where Mike Brown, there were parts of Mike Brown that I think the team really liked, but I think there were other parts and something that just was missing, and they keep on trying to tell us this. So I think it's time we listen. And shout out to Tony Harvey. You're going to see Tony tonight. Tony Harvey, who's been covering the Kings for years, he asked Malik that question. Tony's in the Sac chat right now. So shout out, Tony. Great question, Tony. That's right. We got to defend the media out here. Great stuff, Tony. All right, on the other side, we continue the conversation as we talk about whether or not the Kings can keep this rolling. There is another story, a new story out about the bidding for Cam Johnson. Do you still want to make a move? Is it still necessary? Or could the Kings just keep playing better? Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and